So thank you so much for joining us today for Set Schedules Meet the Agent series. In this series, we are looking to connect with agents who have had a lot of success throughout the US, delve into how you develop your book of business, what are some of your best practices, and then also speak specifically about your experience using the Set Schedule lead, some of your triumphs and challenges there, and how you overcome them. So today we are joined by Eric Jenkins. He's an expert realtor out of the Port Richey area in Florida. And so first, I just want to say thank you, Eric, for making yourself available to speak with us today.
Sure.
So, one of the questions I want to get just some background. For me, one of the most fascinating parts of speaking with realtors is to find out everybody's individual path to get into real estate. So, how long have you been practicing, and how long have you been practicing real estate, and what brought you to the real estate industry?
Well, I used to buy homes for myself, and I retired once about 5 years ago from being a financial advisor. And my brother's a realtor with Coldwell Banker, and he's been telling me for years that I would be great at it. And I went through a wonderful, passionate divorce, and I gave up a big chunk of net worth. And he said, "Well, why don't you come play real estate with me?" So I hung out with him for a while, and it was fun. Then I got my license, and then I was a financial advisor and a realtor for about 6 months. And then my seventh month in the business, I did my first transaction, and then I sold my book as a financial advisor, and I became a full-time realtor. No, I'm very happy that I came into it, and I love it. It's wonderful.
What's the most exciting part about it for you?
Well, I mean, I like making money, but I mean, I like my testimonials. I like getting testimonials from clients. I like, the chase. There's a number of realtors that are chasing the same people, and I enjoy the hunt for the prospect. I enjoy um, the process. Learning the process has been wonderful. Nothing like doing things wrong to learn how to do it in the future. And I've done a number of things wrong, but I've done 98 transactions, and I have about six pending right now, and I've got about 17 listings. And you just have the neatest events that take place. I had a lady 2 days ago that called me, and she said she wanted me to help her find a home. I said, "I'd love to do it. Who do I thank?" And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, how'd you find me?" She said, "Well, a couple months, 3 or 4 months ago, you showed my house." I said, "Well, which house was it?" She said it was on Dixie Lane. I said, "I remember that, on the water." She said, "Yeah." I said, "It had a bunch of different rooms to it." She said, "Yeah." She said, "I liked you and you gave me your card." And I said, "Why aren't you working with the realtor that sold the house?" And she said, I didn't like him. I was like, "Okay." She said, "You seem like your clients really enjoyed working with you, and I want to have a realtor that I enjoy working with." So I interviewed her, found out her needs, wants, desires, her time frame, and then I did a search and sent her, I don't know, maybe 60 or 70 different properties. And then she picked 10 or 11, and I did research on them, and I showed her seven of them yesterday. And then today she called me, we chatted a little bit, and she's wonderful. I mean, she's definitely buying a home with me, and she's great. I love her, and she loves me. And she's about 72 years old, and she still works, and she's awesome.
And so I know I read through a lot of the testimonials that you have on your Zillow page, and you mentioned a couple of times with this client and the one that you were mentioning earlier
Mhm.
that you really enjoy developing that relationship with them. If you could try to quantify what likability is, how would you do that? Like, what do you think is the qualities that you have that people are responding so strongly to?
Well, when I was a financial advisor, I got testimonials as well, and it really helps your business. People want to see that. They want to read somebody's jumbled up sentence, misspelled words. They want to see that it's sincere and real, and it helps your business. I got a listing on Friday. I listed it today in Newport Richey. It's $130,000, awesome, cute little home, really close to downtown. It's got a lot of neat things about it. And that guy, he did a search for realtors in Newport Richey, and he read my testimonials and called me and said, I knew you'd answer your phone. And we chatted, and I went over there and met with him. And I said, select me, I would be honored to work with you. It would be a lot of fun. And he goes, oh, it's done. I'm picking you. I was like, oh, okay, great. And it was all because of the testimonials. I mean, I was sold, I didn't have to do anything. Testimonials are very important. And I work very hard with, to get them. When I have a meeting with somebody, I tell them, whenever they say, thank you, you're doing a great job, I appreciate your help, I say, I heard you, but no one else did. So later, when this transaction's over, or when I think it's appropriate, I'm going to send you for a request for testimonial for you to write down those words and say them so that I can share it with the public. Helps grow my business, and it makes me feel real good. And they're like, absolutely. So from the beginning, you can't plant the seed after. You have to plant the seed. You got to germinate the seed, and then you got to plant it. Then you got to go back and water it and pull the weeds around it. Then you got to remind them. I probably have right now, I don't want to exaggerate because everybody does. I probably have 7 or 8 testimonials that haven't come in that I deserve. And I'm all over them. I call them up every once in a while and say, oh, I wanted to thank you for the testimonial. And they say, oh, did you get it? I said, no, I haven't gotten it yet. She's like, well, I didn't give it yet. I said, I know, but I'm waiting. I want to thank you for the testimonial. I can't thank you for it yet, but I want to.
Well, that's funny. So when you are making these connections with people, I know, so I guess kind of what I'm trying to get at is why they are feeling this comfortable with you. So I know, I would imagine you go above and beyond for your prospects, but how is it that you are able to inspire such warm praise and that they're willing to publicize it as well?
I hope I'm not sharing this with any local people because then they'll become my competition. But I had an old boss used to say, you want to hire people and not train them and have them stay? Or do you want to hire people and train them and have them leave if they decide to? So I always believe that life is a figure 8. What you give, you get back. The only way to keep it is to give it away. So one of the things that I do that's been very good for me is whenever I call somebody up, I always ask them, can they speak for a moment? And it's amazing how many times they say no. And then I say, later today or another day. And they'll say, oh, another day. And I say, okay, have a great day. And I'm off. And then when I call them back 2 days later and I say, hi, Eric Jenkins, Coldwell Banker, I'm a realtor. Can you speak for a moment or did I catch you at a bad time? They heard that before. Now it's the second time they hear it. And they're like, they'll say whatever the truth is, but most of the time they'll say, no, it's a bad time. And I'll say, later today or another day. And they'll say, how about later today? Oh yeah, and I say an hour, 2, 3, 4. What do you think would be better? And they'll tell me, and I'll say, listen, if I don't get back at that time, it'll be after that. And they say, oh yeah, that's fine. Because I don't want to tell them I'm going to call them at 2 and not do it, because then I lose credibility. Can't do that. So I think that starts the relationship off where they know I'm a professional, because I like it when they say no. When they say yes, then I have to do the dog and pony show. But when they say it's a bad time, I get a lot of credibility. I say, hey, have a great day. We'll try another day. Bye. And I'm gone. Shoo. So I think that is kind of cheating, but it really works well for me. I think it'll work well for anyone that tries it, because you get credibility without doing much. I like that.
So there's, numerous ways that you can build a book of business, whether that be referrals or working your sphere of influence, internet lead generation, whatever the case may be. What has been the most significant source of building your book of business for you?
Zillow leads.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? And have
Yeah,
you had?
I spend real money with them. I used to. I don't now. But I was spending $750 a month for about a year and a half. I did it, and I would get somewhere between 2 or 3, 4 or 5 leads a day. And they were all over the country thinking about moving here, and I would build rapport and then put them on my my search for through MLS of matching their criteria. And I did so many of them, it made me put together a sheet with things that I need to ask them. And then I would do it on paper, and then once I was done and I hung up, I would take it and jump on the computer and go do the search for them. And it made me become it reminded me of MASH, Mobile Army Surgical Hospital, where they're coming in, and now you have to put them in the right compartment. Is this somebody that we need to operate on now, or is this somebody we need to buy them something immediately? Do they need to get qualified? Do they need to get a pre-approval? Are they cash buyers? Do they know what they're looking? Do they even know what city they want to be in? And to determine what amount of time I would give them. So it was a lot of fun, and that's carried over now into SetSchedule, because I have other sources that I get leads from. I have something called RedX. Have you ever heard of RedX?
No.
RedX is amazing. It's a system that it's a dialer. It's about $150 a month, and you can, when I have an open house, I can call everybody around that house and tell them that we're having hot chocolate chip cookies and fresh coffee. We want to invite you over. This might be a good chance for you to pick your new neighbor. This is a house that's for sale. It's just a few doors down from yours. And I put a lot of signs out for the open house, and then they might drop by. And if they don't, they'll at least know there's an open house there. And if they go by, I have a number of flyers with, I have, we call them info tubes here, but they're fat and they hold about 25 sheets in there. And then I can put testimonials in there and other information and, rules that the county has and, comparable properties that are around that are for sale. And then when they pull this thing out, it's like some of them are 8 and 10 pages thick, and they open it and they take it and they keep them. And I get people call me all the time where they say, "Oh, you had an open house over here and I'm a neighbor. I want to list my house with you."
That's interesting to hear, because I do talk with a lot of agents that have kind of let open houses go to the wayside, that they say that open houses are really just a way to
They're
appease
right.
the
They're right.
homeowner.
They're right.
But you're still generating leads?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I had a guy about 8 or 9 months ago. He came in and it wasn't even my listing, but I loved the house. It was a big house. It was a $350,000 house, and I loved it. And a lot of people came to that house, a lot of people. And this guy came and he goes, "This is not the right house for me." And I said, "Well, take this." And I gave him one of my flyers, and I had like 18 pages in it, and it had all the other houses that were golf access in there. And he went through, he said, "I'll drive around and look at these." I said, "If you like one, give me a call and I'll set it up. We'll go look at it." He goes, "All right." And 2 days later, he called me and he said, "I really like this one. Can you tell me what it's worth?" I was like, "Sure." And I said, "Well, let's go look at it." He goes, "Well, I'm back in New York." I said, "All right, well, I'll go take a look at it. I'll take a video and send it to you." He goes, "That sounds great." And I did. And he said, "What do you think it would cost me to buy it?" I said, "Probably $540,000. He goes, "Well, let's offer $525," And I said, "Okay." And we did. And they countered at $550, and we came back at $540, and we got it for $542. And then after we did inspection, we got it lowered 12 grand more, and we bought it for $530. And it was a guy that I got from an open house. And when he sent me proof of funds, it was $10,800,000. At my office, I have the proof of funds copy of his account. And I called him up. I said, "Bob, what are you, a show off?" He goes, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "This house is $530, and you sent me proof of funds for $10,800,000. And the guy, I swear to you, he said, "I picked my smallest account." And it's just a
That's a great lead.
regular Joe. I mean, he had, I think, a Chevette was his rental. I mean, he just a good guy. Came to my open houses. Open houses don't work. Don't do them.
Well, and I was watching the video again that you had on your Zillow site, and that you include with your emails, that gives a brief introduction.
Yeah.
And in that, you mentioned that you, unlike a lot of brokers in the area, that you love to show your prospects lots of properties, and that it's through that they're going to be able to pick exactly which is the right one for them.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, because if that's your mode of style, and closing as many transactions as you do in a year, that's got to be a lot of miles on your car, a lot of gas, a lot of time. Do you ever have any trouble sort of reconciling that? Like, is it worth it in the long run?
Yeah, because what happens is I found when everybody's going left, go right. If everybody's going up, go down. If everybody wants to stop doing open houses, I'm going to do one every weekend. In fact, during the middle of the week, I'll pick one of my houses and I'll go do an open house for 2 or 3 hours. It's amazing. It's amazing what happens. If realtors, if you look, at least in where I'm in Tampa and I'm in Pinellas, which is St. Pete and Clearwater, and I'm in Pasco and Hernando and Polk County. I've got about 6 counties that I now work. But if you drive around like I do, I see a lot of for sale signs. I see them all. And I don't see any info tubes on any of them. None of them. So the exact opposite, I have some that have 3 information boxes on there. My info box is the most expensive one you can buy. It's from D Signs, DEESIGN. I love them. If you buy 25 of them at a time, you can get them for $20 each. If you buy one, they're $35. $20 is a good deal. I have bought 46 of them now. I love them because they give me business all the time. And what I do is I start off with one of them on the house. And if I drive by there 2 or 3 days later and it's empty, I will put another one on the other side and I'll fill them both up. And then if I go back 2 or 3 days later and they're both empty, I'll put another one. I have one of them right now that's got 3 of them on there. 3 of them. I have another one that's got, I have a whole bunch that now have 2 of them on there. But ultimately, nobody does it. That's what I want to do.
I love that. It reminds me of growing up. My mom was always a real estate hobbyist. So that was a lot of weekends were spent going to open houses and collecting. And she would always, or drive around, and she would always send me out to go pick up the info
Signs.
of exactly.
Right.
And so I thought that had been, that was now like a bygone aspect. So it's nice to hear. It's refreshing that that you're still using it and it's still working for you, because that's what I always
Big
found
time.
to be a great resource.
Big time. It works. And the clients want it. Whenever I get a listing, the first weekend I do the open house. It's just like a tradition for me. And I don't do a wimpy open house. Mine are from 12 to 5 on Saturday and 12 to 5 on Sunday. And I have signs that say open house Saturday, 12 to 5, Sunday, 12 to 5. And I have arrows that go up. So when you're going on a straightaway, all the open house signs are left arrow or right arrow. I had to get my own made that are up to show them go straight. Because straightaways, what do you do? Take your sign and go sideways? So they never designed them. I said, I want them. So I got myself a whole bunch of those. I have right now over 400 open house signs. I buy them all the time. It's just a thing you do. And I lose them all the time. All the time. On a weekend, someone will snag 7 or 8 or 10 of them, and I'm losing, some of them are $10 to $15 each one. But if you keep those signs in a warehouse and you never use them, you won't lose any, and you won't get any new leads, and you won't grow your business, and you'll just be sad. So I don't mind losing them. That's part of the business. You're supposed to lose them.
So what would you say too, because I speak with a lot of agents that have the frame of mind that they won't show property without a pre-approval letter. And what would you say to that?
I had a lady one time, didn't have a pre-approval letter. She had a lot of ink on her. I'm not a judge. I'm just a human being. And I treated her like it was my sister. If they're older, I treat them like my mother. And if they're younger, I treat them like my daughter. And if they're guys, I treat them like my brother, my father, or my son. And whatever I would do for those members of my family is what I would try to do for my prospect, for whoever they are. So this lady did not look like a home buyer, but she bought a $180,000 home. She qualified. She needed help getting a mortgage, and I introduced her to a mortgage guy, and mortgage guy said she's not going to qualify. And I said, the only way it's going to work is to get a cosign. She goes, well, my mother's loaded. She'll cosign. And her mother is like a bigwig in New York. And she co-signed for her, and that lady bought a $180,000 home. And I think my commission was $8,500. And she gave me an awesome testimonial. And she works at a restaurant. And every time I go there, she treats me like a king. So, I mean, it's all good. I don't ever make anyone give me I've shown one lady, I don't exaggerate, over 15 homes where I never had proof I know they have money, but I've never seen her checkbook. I never had a proof of funds from her. And she bought a $130,000 home not too long ago, cash. Like, no, you treat people the way you want to be treated. Comes around, goes around. And will you run into somebody in the future that'll never buy? Absolutely. You better. If you don't, you're not talking to enough people. You know, it's like a rainbow. You have to have people that are really mean to you. And like every day I get 3 or 4, 5 people that are really mean to me every single day. You know, they unsubscribe after I've shown them houses. They tell me to never call again. They bought from a for sale by owner. They bought with another realtor. Every single day it happens. And if it doesn't, then I'm not running into the ones that come into my life that are going to be a new client. They're going to do a transaction. That has to happen. You can't have only good. There has to be those other deals that hurt.
And do you do anything to qualify the people in any way that before you start showing them property or investing a lot of your time? Because, the money and the mileage and all of that is one thing, but you also have your time, which is, a finite resource itself. So do you do anything to qualify?
Once you start showing them properties and after the first time, they pretty much duck out when they can't do it. They weed themselves out. I always, when I talk to women, I say, listen, do you like buying shoes? They say, absolutely. I say, do you ever go to the mall to buy shoes without any money? They never. I said, well, what happens if I show you a home and you really like it and you're not in a position to buy it? What are we going to do? She goes, I don't know. I said, well, let me tell you one thing that happened to me once before. I showed a house to a lady. She loved it. She wasn't ready to buy. And then once she did get qualified 4 months later, all she could think about was that other house. And I never found another house that would even with that one or beat it. And she never bought with me. So I had lightning in the bottle one time. Now she wanted me to do it again and we couldn't do it. So I really don't want to show you. I tell them I don't want to show you something if you're not in a position to at least make an offer. Because what if we find something we really like? We're just going to hurt ourselves. I don't want to do that. I want to have an outcome that's good for all of us. And they like that. But the first time I will go show anybody, anything, anytime, anywhere, anyhow. They get one from me, always. Then I get to meet them and I can give them my folder. And when I first started, I didn't have a folder, but now I've got a folder. And then in the folder, I've got a calendar that's got magnets and I got a home protection plan and my testimonials. And then I have a vendors list, every time when you're dealing with a lot of buyers, they need help. And this is it's appraisals, it's a mobile notary. Everyone I've done business with, movers, pool guy, title companies, land clearing, mortgage, pre-approval. Oh my gosh, I've got Ron Morris is my favorite, Sybil Johnson, Kelly Santos, Brian Snyder, Ruth Watkins, Jody. I mean, you got to have this. This is something that they need. This gives you credibility, and all these people know me, and they want to be on this sheet. So when my buyer calls up and says, "Hey, I got this from Eric Jenkins," they're like, they want to help them out, and that helps my buyer realize that I'm the real deal, and then helps grow my business. And then anytime any of these people run into anybody that are looking to buy a home, you got to call Eric. And then when I meet them and I give them my folder and they look through this and they see that guy, they're like, oh, these guys are the real deal. And it grows your business. And I put on here, nice chatting in the past. Please let me know your experience with any vendors below. If you have a local vendor you love, let me know. Because I want to add them to my sheet. Mm-hmm. If they run into a problem, I want to take them off. And I've had a number of people that I've taken off, and I add to the sheet all the time.
So what would you say was the deciding factor? Because you had mentioned that you worked with Zillow, that you worked with other lead sources. What was the deciding factor that made you ultimately opt to partner with SetSchedule?
I was the buyer's agent on a deal, and the selling agent was a pretty cool guy. We hit it off really well. It was only like a $90,000 home, and he was cool, and we got to know each other. We never met, but I asked him, I said, what's working for you? He goes, I signed up with this group SetSchedule. I said, tell me about it. And he said, I did the little girl girl one instead of doing the man one. I said, what's that? He goes, well, I did the cheaper one he goes, if I was to redo it, I would do the man one. I said, well, what's the difference? He's like, I don't know, maybe $1,000 or $1,500. And I hung up the phone and I called SetSchedule. And the girl was like, can I help you? I'm like, yeah, I want to give you my credit card. I want to sign up for it right now. And she goes, well, do you need a presentation? No, I just need to sign up. I want to get on it now. And she's like, well, we don't do it that way. I'm like, well, how do we do it? She goes, well, hold on. And she's like, can I call you back? I'm like, sure. She called back. She goes, all right, we'll do it. Okay. And they took my credit card and I paid, I think, $2,100. And then I had to wait like 4 or 5 days to go through the intro. And now every day I wake up and I'm excited because I get to go, it's a really cool little situation. And, and I have a lot in my system right now from SetSchedule, a lot. I have my first deal that I'm doing tomorrow. It's my first deal with SetSchedule, but I have hundreds of people that I have rapport with that are doing a search for. I'm showing them homes electronically. And when they need something or they see something, they call me or they text me or they email me. And it's fun. I get to pick the area where they're looking. I get to pick whether I don't do rental. So there's a button. I watched a video the other day, like in the last week, and I learned about there's a drop down where you can click renter or buyer or seller. And like, wow, click that renter off. I don't want to ever see a rental lead. So I click that, and now I only get sellers and buyers. And I will go down to South St. Pete if it's a big number. It shows me what the number is. So if it's $1 million home, I'll go to Guam for it. That's it's just what I do. I don't really do things in Guam. I don't know where Guam is, but if it's $1 million home, I'm going to Guam to do it. But I do St. Pete now because of SetSchedule, and it's kind of cool. I have done 2 listing appointments now, and they're not ready to sell. It's great for me because they're in my pipeline, and they're going to sell. One of them's about to do a transfer, and he's not sure. So, but I like SetSchedule because it lets me pick, and it's kind of weird. Like where I live in Tampa, I go over a couple different bridges, and my office is in Newport Richie. So, and I have a lot of business going on in Newport Richie right now. So I just my drive goes by where I'm picking houses and listings and buyers from SetSchedule is on my route. So I'm going that way anyway. And I get to go through the water and the nice neighborhoods and see my leads and go look at my listings. And it really works well for me because I work.
And have you had any struggles expanding your territory? Because some agents I know will be very picky about what areas they want to go into, that they know their area very, very well, and they feel that need to prepare to the nth degree before they call somebody who's in an area that's not their specified. So have you had any challenges expanding your territory?
Well, I've learned a lot after doing 98 transactions about homes, and I do a lot of due diligence before I go look at a home. I'll pull it up on the property appraiser. I'll do a sinkhole search. I'll pull the permits to see if there's any open permits when they change the roof or the AC, if there's a sinkhole next door. I always check the realtors because I don't trust them. I think they're going to put bad information. My clients are too important to me. I can't trust what they're going to write, but I can trust the property appraiser site for each county. So it's been, the time it's not a big deal, but I know 5 counties property appraisers pretty well. And the way you learn them is you call the property appraiser up and you talk to the lady, say, I'm a dumb new realtor and I need your help. I got a buyer and she's really important to me and I just need to make sure I'm doing this right. Can you walk me through it? And they're always like, absolutely. I have a couple ladies that I just adore at the property appraiser. They taught me so much, and I'm an expert now at it because of them, and I can teach it to other people, and I teach it to some new brokers that come in my office only because I enjoy doing that. But ultimately, I learned by calling and learning that. But I still learn every day about houses and cracks and foundation and sinkholes and permits and electrical boxes, and every day I'm learning. which is awesome. I love that.
How do you stay so positive? I guess is how I want to ask, because I know too you were saying that there's a lot of every day that you talk to somebody who's going to be mean to you, and I imagine with internet lead generation, it's its own beast, so that you're getting a lot of
Oh,
calls for people who are unhappy, or maybe they had hit fatigue where they've been prospected so much that they're just angry and want to take it out, or knee jerk reaction, take it out on the realtor. Or you could be also, as you mentioned earlier, finding calling a great lead, but at the wrong time, and you just happen to catch them, and they again take it out on you. How do you stay so positive so that you're still excited so the next call that you make, it doesn't carry?
I mean, I don't like pain, but I know that for me to get pleasure, I had to go through pain. The founder of IBM said success lies on the far side of failure. You have to go through pain to get to pleasure. And on a daily basis, I'm getting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people a day that are unfair to me. They, I just got one in the last 20 minutes. I've had the lady for like 8 or 9 months. I've shown her homes, and she's like, "Don't ever call me again." I mean, that was all she said in a text to me. So then I go in there and I find her in my calendar, and I find her and I delete her, and I'm done. And I put her in my unsubscribe file, which is gigantic. But I always think is every time I put someone in there, I'm probably going to get 1 or 2 new clients that are just going to come to me. That guy, I got this guy, Ted, the other day. He called me up and said, "I read your testimonials and I want to sell my house." I was like, "Great. Do you want me to come at 9 in the morning, 10, 11, 12? Or is 1, 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon better? I could do 5, 6, or 7. What's good for you?" And I do it that way to show him that whatever time he wants is what I'm going to do. I don't care. If I have another appointment, I'll call them and move it. But I want him to know that he's my top priority and that I will move my schedule around for him. And you know, I got a new listing today. It's awesome. I got a lady that I showed houses to. I got a guy a couple that were awesome. They called me and I went and did I viewed their home. It was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, they're going to have 3 or 4. You ask, how do I stay positive? I had this one couple, Sean and Debbie, and they live way out, but it was a $300,000 home. So I'd go out there. It was about an hour away, and I went out there, and it was a beautiful home, 6 acres. There was a train track, believe it or not, that ran down the side of the property, and it was on a dirt road, and there's planes that went by. So other than those 3 negative things, it was an awesome property. The house, vaulted ceilings, walk around fireplace, 4-car garage, 2 at the house, 2 separated. It was an amazing property. Block home, no sinkholes, awesome. Except dirt road, planes, and a train. But they let me list their home, and I competed with 6 other realtors, and they said, "We want you." And then at closing, I said, "Well, what are you guys going to do now?" They're like, we're gonna buy something else. I was like, "Why'd you sell that?" And they're like, "Planes, trains, dirt road." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So then I helped them find a home, and we bought a $400,000 home. So I did 400,000 on that side, and I did 300 on this. That's 700 grand. Last year I only did 4.4 million. Here's 700 grand from one lead. I mean, that 15% of what I did all last year, and they give me a great testimonial, and it's easy to be positive when you get that kind of a client. You have to go
True.
pain to get to pleasure.
That makes sense. Yeah, as long as you just stay focused on the positive. And what would you say to agents who have never worked internet lead generation before, who are contemplating working it, and again, specifically contemplating partnering with SetSchedule?
I would do it. It's really, there's a lot of leads. The way people buy homes, it's really unique. Just because you get the lead, they may be doing something in 3, 4, 5, 6 months. You think that they're going to do it now. Well, guess what? You're wrong. You're wrong. It's not how it works. They go at their pace. We want to do business yesterday. They want to do it when it's the right time for them. And if you treat them like a family member and you're nice and you care and you don't push, they got to use somebody. Why not you? You're not pushy. You're nice and you're there and you answer your phone. gosh, that's more than all the other realtors. We really, realtors, we have no competition, and it's unlimited. Business is unlimited. So you need leads. And if you do the right plan with SetSchedule, you get a lot of leads. I like that.
Well, thank you so much, Eric, for taking the time to speak with us today to record this. I think this is going to be a really great resource for a lot of agents, both newer ones and experienced ones, to get a new perspective on focusing on the positive and focusing on the people who are going to end up transacting with you, letting go of the ones that aren't. Not taking it personally or anything like that. So, but I really do appreciate you taking the time and to speak with
Sure.
us today.